modern foreign languages teacher Lorraine Thomas was doing outreach work in primary feeder schools when she hit upon an idea. Why not try getting her Year 9 class back at school to turn teacher and educate Year 6 pupils at the local primary in basic French?
It's nice for motivation of my Year 9s to get them into a different environment. It's different from me standing at the class teaching them. It's a completely different experience for them.
The novelty factor helps pupils engage, but there are other benefits.
It's been a way of my Year 9s recapping basic language, but in a different way.
It's like going over what we've already learned, so it's revising it so we know it better as well.
Yep. Red, orange.
Teaching languages themselves has made them realise how important good communication skills are.
It helps me because sometimes I forget it, and then now I've learnt it properly so I won't forget it.
So let's take a look what happens when the Year 6 pupils from local primary Matthew Bolton descend on Lorraine at Holyhead School in inner city Birmingham.
The project lasts 5 or 6 weeks depending on the length of the half term.
Right, OK, Year 9 teachers, you're through here.
Depending on the size of the group, the Year 9s usually have 1 or 2 students to work with. So each week the Year 6s want to make sure that they're working with the same Year 9 teacher. So good relationships have been set up there as well.
Welcome to week 4 then of the primary project. We finish next week, so we've had our 3 lessons so far. Today is week 4 when we're going to learn about the colours.
We start off with quite basic greetings in week 1. Week 2 we move on to the numbers. In week 3 the children look at giving their age and their birthday.
Year 9 teachers, you need to do a recap of weeks 1, 2 and 3, OK, and then start with week 4.
And in week 4 we learnt the colours, the Year 6 students learnt the colours, and they had an activity to do as well.
Which 2 colours make up orange?
Juan and Rue.
This is like a crossword of colours. Numbers here, which tell them to go basically across or down, and then they've got the English colours, and they have to write it in French. Good. Number 6 down. What's number 6 down?
A-N-G-E.
Good, that's right.
So it's quite interactive really. There are lots of different activities for the Year 6s to get involved with. I make a point of asking my Year 9s to start with listening skills, moving on to speaking, then reading, then writing. So it's quite a logical process.
So what we're going to do here is, what colour is that? And that one. So what you're going to do is you're going to take the colours and you're going to colour them in the ones you think they are. And if you're not sure, you can just ask me or refer back to the book, yeah?
Some of the Year 9s have really embraced the role and even developed their own resources.
All I did was I went on the computer and wrote all the numbers in French and then the numbers in digits. So it was just like a game, so it could help them to lodge it into their long-term memory so that they could just have a bit of fun while learning at the same time.
One lose.
One do.
One lose.
Yeah.
One set.
Pardon?
One to see. One to beat.
That's all correct.
It's fun, I like doing art and craft things, so I think it helped the child as well.
If I feel that there's a certain group that needs extra support, then I would go and give that support. So maybe go and work with the less able child from the Year 6 and give them a little bit more support so that the Year 9 teacher can work with the more able Year 6 student.
So have a think about the colours that sound quite like the English words, yeah? And maybe get all your colours out to remind you which ones you're working with. OK.
Before the project begins, Lorraine spends a full hour lesson providing the pupils with a teacher training session.
OK.
This is followed up by 10 minutes each week discussing the plan for the following week's lesson.
Okay. Have a look then, please, at week 5. You can see that you're going to do the dominoes game next week, OK? So you're going to teach the sports week 5.
The main work to be done is with the Year 9 students, so I have to make sure that they're completely prepared for the project. So I explain to the Year 9s exactly what they're going to be doing, because they're the teachers after all.
Just have a look here at the different sports that you're going to teach. So we've got le tir à l'arc, which is archery, and the picture matches when you go back a page so you can see that sport. Let's think about the start of the lesson when they arrive with us again at 1:20. What are you going to do with them first of all?
Recap the previous lessons.
Great. OK, so you're going to go through weeks 1, 2, 3 and 4. Yeah?
We talk about, with less able pupils, repeating the work, giving lots of reinforcement, doing lots of recap, taking the work at a slower pace.
What do they need to do first in terms of skills?
Learn the names of each sport.
What do they need to hear from you first?
You say it and then they repeat it after you.
Great. So they've got to listen to you, haven't they? And then repeat it. So we're going in order of listening and speaking first of all. Great.
If the child is zooming ahead, then I talk to the Year 9s about how they can really push the, sort of the more able child on by memory games, testing them, making the work more difficult, closing the booklet so they've got to do it completely from memory, that kind of thing.
Say your Year 6 student is doing really well, they've zoomed ahead in the past few weeks. What are you going to do, say, for the last 10 minutes?
You can test them on what they've learned.
Great. OK, so as an extension task, you can test them.
So how have the Year 9s handled their pupils?
My students have been pretty bright. They're very advanced because before we started this lesson, they said that they were already been learning a bit of French. So it wasn't very new to them, but they found it quite easy. When I was teaching them the numbers, they could say all the numbers from 0 to 31 very fluently. So then I taught them how to say them, move on to the 40s numbers and 50s and 60s.
Excellent.
She didn't have much self-confidence and she was a bit like, oh, I'm not bothered, I don't want to do this. So I had to try and make it as fun as possible and boost her confidence. And eventually at the end of the project, she's really come out and she's like, yeah, and she's enjoying it.
I'm going to put some of the colours here that you've learned, and then I'll take one away and hide it, and then you have to look at it, and then you have to tell me in French what colour's missing. Okay. Close your eyes. Open your eyes. Okay.
Rose, pink.
It's been a way of my Year 9s recapping basic language but in a different way.
Even though I am good at French and everything, it's like going over what we've already learned, so it's revising it so we know it better as well.
What does that mean?
Yellow, lilac, grey, white, beige, red, orange, green, brown, pink.
Right, you know what each one of them means, just get a colour, and all I want you to do is scribble the colour next to it so you can remember what they mean.
There's an element of they're the oldest students and they're the teachers, so they need to really know what they're doing. They don't want to be caught out by a Year 6 student if they don't know the meaning of a certain word. Teaching languages themselves has made them realise how important good communication skills are.
I think I have improved as a teacher because they were really shy and so was I. So we didn't really bond with each other, but now we've got to know each other, we've become friends and we can talk to each other.
They've done it okay and they've finished all the work, so then now we're just carrying on a conversation with them. Bonjour.
Salut.
Ça va?
Ça va, merci.
Comment s'appelles-tu?
Je m'appelle Savannah.
Quelle est la date de ton anniversaire?
When's your birthday? It helps me because sometimes I forget it, and then now I've learnt it properly, so I won't forget it because I've learnt it myself and I've learnt somebody else as well.
In terms of Year 9s, it's a good motivator because it's the year when they have to take their options. So as far as we're concerned, it's really positive in getting the Year 9s to take languages at GCSE.
I'm going to take French GCSE because it's going to help me. I think doing stuff like this gets me more interested in it because it shows what I know. So I think doing this sort of thing has made me more interested in it.
The project reinforces learning in Year 9s and develops enthusiasm in the younger pupils.
Now that languages aren't compulsory at Key Stage 4, I think it's really important that in primary schools we're starting to teach French or different languages, so that when at least they come to secondary school, they've got some kind of head start and they're motivated to want to learn languages. And then hopefully there'll be an increase in GCSE uptake.
Having this knowledge base that they're getting now in a primary school, I think is really important because that's like a stepping stone to what they're going to be doing in the future. I think it will encourage some of those children to want to learn more about other languages.
Last year we won the European Award for Languages. There's lots of good work going on by MFL teachers all over the country, but this was the only project, I think, where Year 9 students were involved in teaching themselves.
My contact with the school was as a languages advisor, and also I was asked to come in and do the external assessment for the project here by SILT, the National Centre for Languages. We were looking for innovation, for language links across phases, for the opportunity for learners to develop their skills in different contexts. And against all those criteria, the project here was very strong.
What are the challenges in getting such a programme up and running?
Mostly the primary schools have been really keen to work with us, and we've had requests that we go work with primary schools each year. Now I make contact with the Year 6 teacher and organise when I'll be coming in, if that's convenient kind of time. And we talk about the venue, how we're going to set up the room, and I give a copy of the resources to the primary school first so they know exactly what we're going to be doing.
It's Year 9s, please.
It's quite a straightforward project to organise, really, because I make sure that I take my Year 9 teachers with me whenever I've got them on the timetable, so the curriculum isn't disturbed at all.
The logistics of the scheme can sometimes prove challenging.
The first week we went down to Matthew Bolton's school. I was working in a different classroom than last time when I went down 6 years ago. And the classroom was a little bit smaller. The group was much bigger. The Year 6s are a class of 32. And it was quite a cramped environment with all of my Year 9s, myself and the French language assistant. So we decided to bring them up to Holyhead, where we've got a little bit more flexibility in terms of rooms in a secondary school.
Right, Year 6. Turn over your pieces of paper so you can't see the colours. OK, we'll have a quick revision, see how everyone's got on today. People did really, really well today. Lots of people got on to do the last task as well. That was smashing. OK, commandito. Red.
Rouge.
Rouge, excellent. Very good pronunciation. Commandito. Yellow. En français.
Jaune.
Jaune. Super. Très, très bien. Well done, Year 6s. That's really, really good today. Well done. Then.
The project has matured over its 6-year lifespan.
The language content when I first started the programme was slightly different. So we've amended the activities, putting more interactive kind of tasks. Now that I've developed further resources, the Year 9s have lots of different materials to work with. I think they find it much easier.
If I was going to give advice to other people doing this French project, I'd tell them to prepare more activities, more advanced activities than what they're learning already, so that the student doesn't get bored with what they're learning, because then you'll be going over the same thing again and again.
Lorraine's always looking to make changes and improvements.
At the moment, we always take it in turns, so we just work with one primary school each year within the autumn term. I'd like to develop that more so that we could go to all the main feeder primary schools. So perhaps take it in turns and go to one primary school, one half term, change over and have the time to go to other primary schools as well. Overall, the project's worked really well as far as Holyhead's concerned, within the departments and for the Year 9 teachers. And I think it's worked really well for the primary schools as well.